Okay, we're ready.
Ready? I'd like to call a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, July 20th meeting to order. And before we start the meeting, I would like to relate to the instructions for Zoom meetings. You can log into www.zoom.us, enter meeting number ID 977-6119-6006, or dial either of the numbers 1-312-626-6799 or 1-646-558-8656 and enter the meeting number 977-6119-6006. Then press pound. If your line is muted, press *6. Thank you. Before we start our meeting, we're going to have a prayer by myself, Commissioner Heberling, and then we'll have the pledge by Commissioner Sakala. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you, Lord, for the free country that we can come and congregate and do our county business. We thank you for your blessings. We ask, Lord, that you would guide and direct us through this meeting as county officials to make the right decisions for each and every person in our county and for our county officials. We ask for your guidance. We ask you to bless this time together in this meeting. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Denise, roll call, please.
District 1, Commissioner John Block.
Present.
District 3, Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Joel Wyatt.
Here.
And District 2, Chairman Gary Huber.
Here. Thank you, Denise. Adoption of agenda for today's meeting in front of us here, and I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
I have an amendment to the agenda. that
Okay,
came up. I would like to carve out a little bit of time to have a discussion with what Commissioner Block sent an email on regarding the health department and, basically the body of that retort. I think it's worthwhile having a short discussion because it does involve Eric Levine already. As of Sunday, you had a conversation with Bryant regarding that. That's what I don't know which would. Yeah.
okay, so there's been a motion to adopt the agenda. I did not hear a support for to adopt the agenda, so that motion was died. So I'll entertain a motion again for the adoption of the agenda today with an amendment.
The amendment you're referring to is this?
No, that'll be an amendment to that, but no, I'd like to add something to the agenda, just an opportunity
Okay,
to discuss.
so we need to add this friendly amendment at this time?
No,
No.
Okay,
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
because that's not changing the agenda. That's already on the agenda. Yeah.
All right,
So
thank you.
again, there was a motion made to adopt the agenda, lack of support.
Move to adopt the amended agenda.
Okay. Support. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Is there any corrections to the minutes from July 6th, 2021? Seeing none, hearing none. Next on agenda, number 8, approval minutes from July 6th of 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 6th.
so moved.
Okay, there's a motion made, support by Commissioner Wyatt. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. I had here in front of me and I moved it. Communications. I don't know if anybody got the top. Thank you. Letter from communications, a letter from James Maglafani to the Board of Commissioners. Minutes from San Luis County Mental Health Meeting held May 25th, 2021. Wexford County Resolution opposing Michigan Secretary of State by appointment only. And the fourth communication notice of hearing from State of Michigan before Michigan Public Service Commissions, the electric and gas consumers of Consumer Energy Company, case number U 20865. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners report. And let's see, we'll start. John, do you want to start?
I don't have anything for my commissioner's report, but I will have committee reports.
Okay.
Like me to go next?
Yeah, you please.
I was able to attend the Village of Port Sanilax meeting a couple weeks ago. They had a very successful 4th of July and gave kudos to the Sheriff Department for their strong presence there during that event. Apparently there was about 4,500 people in town for the fireworks. And the department was there helping usher everybody out in and out safely. They're working on their certification with the Economic Development Corporation for a 5-year master plan. And if they're able to do that, then they'll have state funding for assistance with that. They did pass their recent state water quality test, and they had discussion on utilizing Bart Cheney's emergency shelter, and Todd Hillman's already sent them paperwork to consider that. And then I attended Sanilac Township. They're working with Lexington County Park on potential water hookup and also working on finishing up taking over the water billing. The clerk and the treasurer there are doing a great job because they've basically adopted everything that Lexington was doing. And then SEFA is still having discussions with the village on the fire equipment. And then they were going to have a planning meeting, I believe it's in a week, in regards to DTE and with the service coordinator for them on ordinance consideration and to reducing the availability of anything over 200 amps. Then I'll have a committee report afterwards. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Suckoff. I've attended my township meetings for the month of July. And the biggest thing, and I think we've all talked about it amongst ourselves when you go to your township meetings, is the blight issue. And my first meeting of the month is always Watertown Township, my township that I'm part of. And their supervisor, Scott Franzel, questioned me if I would contact the rest of the supervisors in District 2 to see if anybody had any interest in hiring or putting together a person that could enforce those rules for all District 2. And one of the biggest challenges is if they were interested, is to get the townships together in District 2 and compare their ordinances. And most of the ordinances I found are closely the same, except for a couple townships. They don't have a lot of enforcement, and they send a letter out, and that's kind of where it goes, right? So what they would like to do, what Scott was talking about, what I've communicated to other townships, when they send a letter out certified or to try to enforce a blight issue, they were thinking about hiring maybe a retired policeman or sheriff department retired person, so they could actually go to the house and they were dressed in the right attire and could carry a concealed weapon, and that may have a little more effect on it. Not that they were going to bodily hurt anybody, but it has a little more effect than if Joe Blow walks up and say, hey, we need you to clean up. And the minute he or she walks out the door and gets in their car, that's the end of it. So that was the biggest thing that I dealt with in my meetings the last month.
Okay, I went to, let me think, Homer, Flynn, and Marlette Township meetings. Same issues, blight. Flynn also discussed having an enforcement officer and they may have been talking to one of your townships, I'm not sure. Because it is an issue and they throw a lot of money at blight, but there's really no results.
Yeah.
So, and they're all working, or the three I visited are working on applying for the ARP funding for their townships. Couple of them were kind of undecisive, and Andrew Beeler was at Flynn Township, and we both said it doesn't cost you anything to apply. You should apply and then take it from there, because there's still a lot of information yet to come. So that was about it.
Okay.
I agree with Roger, and we talked about that earlier. These townships that have the opportunity to apply for this definitely should. There's no downside to it. If you're thinking that you don't want to waste the government's money, don't worry, they'll figure out another way to waste it if you choose not to take it. So at least take it, bank it, and for your constituents, take that money that's earned on interest, right? Fremont Township has a wind issue going on. They had their zoning officer attend the county's planning commission meeting. They got a lot out of that. Liberty presented itself there. Liberty's the name, right?
Yeah, Liberty, yeah.
There were some good questions asked by Commissioner Block and Commissioner Heberling. That was discussed at the meeting. They were very happy to see the county's interest in sharing what knowledge they had with it. Let's see. This was there. They are already putting up Met towers in Fremont Township to analyze the wind as it moves through Speaker and Fremont Township. Liberty's the interested party in that. For the most part, they don't have anything bad to say about the companies, but they don't want to find themselves in the problem that our northern communities had. So they're well aware of that. That's about all I have for that. Other than I'd like to comment on our Secretary of State, who was on the radio a week ago, this last Monday, explaining that she decided that they were going to open up the Secretary of State offices for walk-in traffic to allow you to conduct your business. And she was asked by the moderator, Paul Smith, I believe, so what you're saying is I can just simply walk in and get service right then and there? And she said, yeah, absolutely. We will make sure in between other appointments that you'll be able to get served. Well, I can tell you conclusively from 2 different locations at 4 different opportunities that is not the case on the street level. So Secretary Benson did not distribute that information to her branches because that is not the case. That's a rather disappointment. That's all I got.
Thank you. You hit on something in the report about the monies to these townships and our county, and it's the same question, and our controller and I talked about it before, and I think I've had conversations with you, is that there's a bigger question to all this, because we're getting this money, and it's basically for broadband, right? It's a little tiny window, and we're gonna get the interest off it. But it would be interesting to find out if the government would tell us the truth, where there's billions of dollars is going to go back to the government, what they're going to do with that. And we'll probably never know, right? But like you said, it'll be spent on something else.
Yeah, we'll find something to spend out. Forgive me, Chairman, if I might. A couple of you mentioned blight issues in communities. I've heard this as well. You can expect that as a municipality, you're going to spend a few bucks in the court system and with your attorneys as you prosecute these individuals. You can send all the letters you want. You can have people dressed up in the appropriate attire. But in the end, if they don't willingly comply, they'll have to be forced to comply through the ordinances that you have that reference the state law that allows you to take that action. And for that, you'll need the assistance of the township attorneys to do that. It's going to be money spent. Usually a township will have an ordinance that says any costs associated with prosecuting these ordinance violations will be entirely borne on the violator.
Good information. Okay, thank you, Commissioners, for your reports. Tara?
Okay, I just have a couple of things. This one's just a reminder that our budget committee meetings will start next month. I will send out an email reminder so that way everyone's aware of it. And then I just wanted to provide a quick update on the ARPA funds committee. We met after our BOC meeting a couple weeks ago. So we did have some discussion about looking into potentially working with a consultant. That consultant would assist with reporting, developing internal controls, and then helping to determine the proper use of funds as well. So I am in the process of working on an RFP to solicit proposals. We do have a recommendation from MAC with 4 different consultants. There's 3 located in Michigan and then 1 is in Georgia. So I did reach out to those 4 firms that were recommended, and they are willing to just have a conference call with the ARPA funds committee just to kind of run through what they could provide us for services. So I think we're going to try to schedule a meeting as soon as next month again. And then just a quick mention on the agenda today, you'll notice in the budget motion, There's a lot of new funds being added, so that's all tied to that self-insurance fund that we established at our last meeting. And then two, any budget that was set up for the old insurance fund is being shifted to the new self-insurance fund. So you'll see those adjustments on the budget motion. Thank you.
Tara, thanks for your report, and I was gonna report on that ARPA. Because I'm on that committee. I couldn't have done half as good a job you do, so a good report. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments. Is there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Seeing none, moving on to appointment of standing committees by county commissioner, appointments to boards, commissioners, commissions and committees, none. County commissioner appointments to boards, commissions and committees, none. County commission chair appointments, none. General resolutions, none. So that takes us down to committee reports, and we'll start down here with Commissioner White.
Commissioner Ballard and myself attended a policy meeting today. The results are contained in the amendment to the policy that will be forthcoming. Do you have anything you want to talk about? I don't. We'll discuss it. That's all I have.
We had our park meeting on July 6th. Parks are very busy. I've talked to all three managers. They're all booked full this weekend. Evergreen stated, I was up there yesterday, the phone was ringing off the hook and he thought they could have filled the park half again. So things are looking up again this year. As Bill stated, we have started conversation with Lexington Township on possibly getting city water in there. We are also in talks with Semco Gas about getting natural gas run into the park. Be less expensive than propane. And what else? What am I missing, John? I know we talked about a lot, but those are a couple of the key things. The seawall is done at Forester. So that was good to see. The neighbor was very happy because they were having some serious erosion from behind their seawall. So
The new gazebo is getting rented out and getting used now.
every weekend, I believe they had all three gazebos, pavilion and gazebos rented out every weekend actually. So parks are all looking good. We did get our position filled at Evergreen. I had to extend the deadline for Lexington. I got a response, but it was like the day after the deadline, so I'd already run the ad. So hopefully we can get some more.
I have a question regarding the
Yeah.
parks. You said city water in Lexington. What's the advantage of the city water? Is the well insufficient or?
Not necessarily. We did it several years back in Forester. It was a good decision.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about your well, your anything pump. Well, actually, last winter we had an issue in the changing of the guard out there. It froze up and we had some issues to fix out there. So that'll eliminate that.
Does that pump that's in Lexington extend across that ravine to the day park as well? Is there water there?
The well is actually on the Dayton
Oh,
side.
it is in the day.
So then it has to go across to
Okay.
the camping side and to the house
Will you come?
office.
Is your idea to keep water at the day use side?
We haven't got that far in the discussion yet. I would hope so.
Yeah.
And I think we could probably do that using the existing lines that are already running.
And I had one last question about that particular park. It's got the tennis courts.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about pickleball, but I just know a lot of people play pickleball. Is that something that can be done there, or has it got to be set up separate?
I just saw an article or a news feature on that last week.
Yeah,
And I don't know that much about it. It looked like a tennis court to me.
yeah. I thought it was too, but it's very popular.
That's what I heard.
Lexington,
what
Clyde
I heard.
Township, they've got, what do they call them, leagues and everything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's only one tennis court there. The other one was so bad that we took that out several years ago. But the other one, the existing one's in pretty good shape. People, I mean, I'm sure they could adapt. If it did need changes, we're open to suggestions on that.
So if I have anybody asking questions, because I did, they go, are there any other places to do that? have them contact a board member?
They can just go there and play. They don't need
Oh, okay.
permission.
Well, I mean,
It's
they were,
public.
I didn't know if you could do it on a tennis court. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that.
That
That'd be
part I
up to
don't know.
them.
You know.
It'd be good practice, I would think. You know, but yeah, if they have any suggestions for equipment or how it needs to be set up.
And
I
maybe,
don't see people out there playing tennis that
No.
often, to be honest with you. So it would be nice to have another use for it.
Really.
and maybe as simple as painting an extra set of lines on the court.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
that-
yeah,
Cass City just redid all their, and put in a bunch of pickleball courts over there. It's odd, but it's huge. People are,
yeah, people are enjoying it.
yep. Yeah, they can even talk to the park manager, contact me.
Okay, cool.
There was a issue, I think, with the well too in Lexington. Wasn't there a power outage?
That's one issue, and
Yeah,
we're
there
looking
was a
at
power outage, so
actually,
then everybody there lost water.
that was, what holiday weekend,
Yeah.
Memorial?
Yeah.
That it quit on, the power went out on
Yeah.
Friday, so they were without water for 3 hours.
Hey, that's camping, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Pretend you're on a rustic site, right?
Yeah.
thank you, Commissioner Ballard.
Yep.
I'm just going to cover a couple things. The committee that John and I serve on. Last week, we held our monthly Sand Lake County Planning Commission meeting, and I'm only going to give part of the report because I'd like John to talk about the company, Liberty Company, that's in our meeting, but we did review the consideration of Fullerville Township zoning ordinance amendment. Mike Patterson from the township showed up, and then also consideration of proposed Fremont Township zoning ordinance amendment. And I say amendment, and those went well, and Elk Township and both Elk and Fremont prepared and had a very good amendment to their ordinance. I thought we all agreed it was extremely well put together, a lot of thought put into it. So we did have a company come in and talk to us later in the meeting, and I'll let John explain that. He was in the same meeting I was.
Pension board met. There was a circumstance where a retired employee had passed away and was still collecting some of the pension because their beneficiary had also passed away, and it was quite a conundrum. And now we're waiting to hear back, I believe, from the medical care facility on it was just a couple months, and I believe their decision is going to be to pay it back. That's all I have on.
Yep, thank you, John.
okay, so yeah, to piggyback off what Commissioner Ballard was talking about with parks, we already discussed a lot of that. It was my first time. So the last 2 Parks Board meetings have been physically at the parks. The next one is physically at Forester Park. It was my first time ever at Lexington Park, so it was interesting to see what all was there. And then last week, the County Planning Commission met. We reviewed a few ordinances that seem to be pertaining more towards the wind and solar from the townships that are facing development at the southern end of the county. The company Liberty that is attempting to develop one of those projects was there, provided some information. Of course, in the information provided, there was talk of the tax revenue as a benefit to the community. So Commissioner Heberlein brought it up, and I pointedly asked her the question if their company performs or takes the action of litigating the taxable value of their projects after they're built. And according to her in the meeting, they don't do that. So
Yeah.
that was, at least they were asked, and they gave a response in a public meeting. We'll see. I'd like to have someone dig into that a little bit more.
A lot
but-
more discussion needs to take place. Yeah.
But I would say overall in these meetings, in the past, how contentious these projects have been, our county planning meeting went extremely well. I think the county planning board's doing an excellent job of knowing their place and advising in an appropriate manner and providing information. And the townships have been, as you discussed, Commissioner Wyatt, they were thankful for that. So it's good that we can be an asset to them for information, and absolutely encourage any township that wants to come talk to us. There's a good group of people there in the county planning board
Yeah.
and a lot of good thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we are also still looking at revising the master plan for Sanilac County. Being we have no countywide zoning, I think our master plan may look a little bit different than maybe it would in a place like Huron County where they're physically backing up zoning ordinances. So we're looking for a consultant to help us with that. But the idea that's coming out of the board is more of what's the vision for Sanilac County? What's the dream? What's the 5-year? What's the 10-year? What do we want the parks to look like? and then trying to use that and build a document that really in Parks was identified in the meeting as one of the key sources of when maybe the Parks Commission is seeking grants, that if those grants align with Sanilac County's master plan, those may be bonus points for the Parks Commission or any other entity in the county seeking grants to say, we're attempting to do this item, and that is outlined in the county's master plan, and that may be helpful securing funding for projects in the future.
Thank you for your report. And that was a great report. And I agree with Commissioner Block as we move forward with the county planning. One of the things that got brought up and discussed a lot right at the end of the meeting was a vision for our county planning. And one of the things specifically got brought up is over on the west side of the state, they take advantage of tourism at on the lake and things. And not to say we haven't done a good job. We've done a lot of good things, but I think there's a golden opportunity still out there. And I was telling Commissioner Sakala, I think over the last 3 weeks, we've went to Port Sanilac and Lexington and visited and toured the stores, and probably 8 more we should have. But yeah, there's great opportunity, and we really need to take more advantage of that. So yeah, good meeting, and I think our planning commission is on the right track, and I think it's going to benefit our whole county as we move forward.
Chairman, Commissioner Block, you third time zoning ordinances were mentioned in today's meeting in a short period of time. So obviously there's some important features about zoning ordinances that townships want to be on board with. What were you talking about when you said that Huron County has county zoning ordinances that they implement?
So I don't know how we sit per se in the 83 counties of Michigan, but I can tell you that in Huron County, there are a percentage of townships that have township zoning, and there's a percentage of townships and municipalities in Huron County that are zoned at the county level. So there's a county planning commission and a county zoning administrator that applies those ordinances. And so Michigan law allows the townships to zone themselves. And so the county's not imposing this on the townships. The communities in Huron County, the townships that have countywide zoning are maybe at one point, I don't know the history of it, but they have allowed that or requested that to happen. And there's actually been instances in Huron County pertaining to wind turbines where maybe a particular township's been happy with county zoning because they don't have the fees and costs associated. They don't have to deal with it. But maybe a large project starts coming down the pipeline and the people of the township disagree about that. And so they've actually retracted and took their local zoning back away from the county zoning in order to make sure that the rules, as far as that pertains to, is the way that they would like it.
So they do have the ability to, at a moment's notice, with a new board coming in saying, nope, we want to do this on our own because we want something different.
Correct.
Because that seems to dovetail nicely with what you were discussing, where many townships want some assistance on that. So you're saying that they have a zoning administrator, say, for example, and the enforcement arm follows through that administrator and.
In Huron County, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Commissioner Block has said it a couple times already. The county planning commission is not the big hammer up here in the county. We can't tell townships what to do. But we can help guide them or give them ideas.
We, as a county, already perform services for the municipalities because they've chosen for us to do that. St. Clair County, they do their own building inspections, plumbing inspections, et cetera. But in Sanilac County, we have a department that handles that. I imagine any municipality could decide, well, we'd like to do that internally and could do so. But it's efficient for them to be able to have the county do it at the county level.
Right.
So the same thing for zoning. Okay, that's interesting. Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
I
Commissioner.
have a question on that.
Yes.
Is there enforcement
In Huron County?
for the county zoning administration? Is that the sheriff's department? Or do they have an enforcement officer? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, they have a zoning administrator.
Okay.
I believe the guy's last name is, he's been the same guy for 10 years, at least. Whether he goes out and does that enforcement on his own or whether they contract with the, say there was a blight issue.
Right.
It was against county, it was in a county zoned area. Whether they would have a contract with the sheriff's department, I don't know the answer to
I'll have to
that.
check that out on the
Yeah.
website.
So
Thought you might want, thanks.
there's a guy that knows about zoning enforcement right there.
Well, Gary, you brought up a point of a uniform, something easily identifiable. To gain compliance, you have many tools in your toolbox to do so. And one of them is your appearance, if you can willingly get them to gain compliance. But if you have an individual who's savvy and knows what their rights are, ultimately you end up at court. Yeah.
The problem is, as I've said before, they need that person that knows what they're talking about, how to distribute that, because everybody's got an ordinance, right? All the townships got a blight ordinance. It's how they carry it out, what enforcement they have that's, that's gonna make it happen. So, yeah. All right, thank you, Commissioner, for your committee reports. Unfinished business. I have none. We'll start with new business. And the first thing on new business is FA 1112-21 approval of 221 current claims.
Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2021 identified on the accounts payable report dated July 13th, 2021 for the general bank account in the amount of $324,002.85.
Or
There's been a motion made and support. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 113-21 budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, transfers.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts as listed.
Is motion made?
Support.
Anything you support? Support given. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 114-21 approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to June 2021.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to June 2021 as follows. ACH payments in the amount of $303,784.05 and checks in the amount of $134,910.22 to total $438,694.27.
Support.
Okay, been a motion made and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 115-21 adoptions of the 2021 millage rates equalization.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the 2021 final millage rates for Salem County as follows and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary agreements. I am going to list these out loud very quickly. County roads, 2 mills, library, 0.2 mills, seniors, 0.25 mills, medical control, 0.2 mills, drug task force, 0.5 mills, county parks, 0.2 mills, medical care facility, 0.2 mills, 911 emergency, 0.2, veterans, 0.2, save council, 0.2, and finally recycling at 0.15.
support.
Have a motion made and support. Any further discussion or comments?
Anybody know which one's due next for renewal?
I know the veterans,
Veterans
Parks is,
parks.
there's 5
5 are coming up
Yeah.
next one? Really?
next year.
Wow.
It's just, those are the 2 conversations I've had with the directors, but I'll send you a list. I just prepared an updated list for the prosecutor and all the dates, and then I'll send that database.
Thanks.
Okay, there's been a motion made and support. Any, no further discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 116-21, approval of transportation coordinator contract.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the employment agreement for a transportation coordinator between Sanilac County Department of Veteran Affairs and Robert Deere at $12 per hour effective July 20th, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and further authorizes board chairman sign the necessary agreement.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion made and support, and we discussed this in our last meeting, the reason for hiring us. Is there any further discussion or questions about that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 117-21, authorization of sidewalks, upgrades, buildings and grounds.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the proposed courthouse sidewalk upgrades as follows: 28 by 8 at the clock, stamped and colored to match existing concrete, 670 square feet of new 4-inch thick sidewalk to replace existing sidewalk on the west side of the courthouse, and 300 square feet of new sidewalk to flag storage shed with ramp to door at a total cost of $11,200 and the county's portion not to exceed $5,600 with funding from Buildings and Grounds.
Support.
Okay, there's been a motion made and support. Discussion or questions or updates?
We're sharing this with Sandusky City. Or with,
We're sharing that with the group that George Lasaki has put together.
right. Does the city put in, does the city contribute to that in any fashion?
No, there's nothing to do with the city. Tara, do you want to talk about what we discussed before the meeting in regards to the sidewalk over here?
That's not part of this particular
Yeah,
item.
okay,
so-
yeah, I agree. So, yeah, okay. All right, any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 118-21, approval of revised project authorization.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the revised project authorization for year 2021, Section 5311, operating formula grants for rural areas, programs, and further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary paperwork.
Hey, been a motion made and support. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 119-21, award and authorization of bid on the fire pit and table grants. This is due to the park, or regards to the Park Commission.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes the bid to purchase ADA compliant table frames and fire rings / pits for all 3 campgrounds from Jamestown Advanced Products at a cost not to exceed $3,101 with reimbursement of $1,000 from the M Parks Foundation.
Support.
Okay, but a motion made and support. Any further discussion, questions?
How many of those gonna be? The pits
3 fire pits and
for all 3 campgrounds? 3?
one each for
One
each.
each? How come it's just-
That was just, it's a small grant that they put out there.
Is it, are we looking at maybe doing that again?
Oh, we've been doing
This,
picnic tables and fire pits for,
these type of fire pits?
Yeah.
So they're all kind of consistent?
Yep.
That's cool.
yeah, we've been doing it for years.
Wasn't the maximum for that grant 2,000 anyways?
2,500.
2,500 was your max you could get.
Yep. And we got 1,000.
Yep.
Which was.
Yep.
$1,000.
What's the feedback on the pits?
I have,
Tables?
they like them,
Yeah.
and they have actually they have a swivel cooking grate on them,
Mhm.
which people like, so.
Yeah, I was reading the instructions that the manufacturer gives you about making sure you burn off all the protective paint before you cook your food on it. What are we protecting it from?
Don't know.
So it looks good at the store when it gets bought.
I guess.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next, FA 120-21, award and authorization of bid for vehicle equipment, Sheriff's Office.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes the bid to outfit 4 2021 Ford Police Interceptors from Procom Incorporated, Mount Pleasant, with funding from the Uniform Services Vehicle Equipment Line and Commissary Fund.
Support. Okay, motion made with support. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed.
What's that?
There's no dollar amount.
We need a dollar amount in there.
Oh, yeah, there's not.
Somebody on the line?
I'm gonna do some research. See if I can find it in here.
Well, we
Seemed like
discussed
it
it.
was.
We discussed it last meeting, though, this meeting. Was that on finance last meeting? Yep. Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
Yep, so it looks like it's Procom
Yeah.
So the total is $27,737.75.
Who seconded that motion?
No.
Thank you.
Fully marked and semi-marked.
What was that again?
$27,737.75.
Hang on just a second, there's actually another amount on here, because one vehicle's semi-marked, so it's. might be a little bit less than the other.
You working off the finance
Yeah,
document?
so the
Yeah, I was-
total for all four, because there's four vehicles, is $36,374. You're recommending there's three.
Yep.
At 92.95 each.
Fourth one is this,
Mhm.
road pro semi-mark. That's the
Yeah.
difference between
So it must be a little cheaper.
the final one anywhere.
I think they just highlighted their
Usually they do, they say, we recommend blah, 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 at
Right
a
here.
cost of,
recommends.
will be awarded.
Well, there was three of them for the Ford Utility Police Interception Patrol Units and then one for the,
Yeah, fully marked and then a partially marked.
Yeah. good catch, Denise, thank you.
Move to amend that. That thing.
John and Bill, if it's a friendly amendment. that
Yeah.
Added.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so a friendly amendment was made, adding the cost. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA 121-21. Adoption of amendments to the donated leave time policy.
The San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the language amendments to the donated leave time policy as follows.
Okay,
And this is unchanged from our finance meeting last month, correct?
Correct.
the motion made and support. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 122-21, adoption of employment of minor policies, Board of Commissioners.
The San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the following employment of minors policy.
Support.
Okay, the motion made and support. Any questions? This basically came out of from our recycle discussions we've had, and I think it's a very good policy of employment of minors, and that's all I have to add. Does anybody have any further questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, the same, motion passed. Next is FA 123-21, adoption of amendments to the purchasing RFP policy.
The San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the following language changes to the purchasing RFP policy for immediate approval.
Support. Discussion.
There's been a motion made in support. Any further discussion?
John, I'd like to amend this amendment to include the language that we have in the stapled pink copy, adding the highlighted comments on the front page that you see there.
So just so I'm clear, this was a policy that was amended and we're considering making an amendment to that.
Yep, we've had an extensive conversation with the director of the health department to make changes in how contracts are executed. And we're comfortable that the language here that was added, no professional service contract shall automatically renew, that's applicable to all component units as well.
Okay. So they would have to follow that direction in their own policies that no professional contract services can automatically renew.
Correct, and then we've got the word of the director that he will indeed incorporate that into his policies along with some additional constructive remedies for oversight and review and performance evaluations, things of that nature.
Okay.
So I know Commissioner White, you and I have had, I don't know, lengthy discussions, but long discussions of this. So this specifically is in regards to the health department.
No, not necessarily. For example, the highlighted section in paragraph 3 that says, however, items which require the Board of Commissioners approval through resolution or motion shall adhere to this policy covers all those exempted departments that you see listed there, Sand Lake Road Commission, Community Mental Health, et cetera. If they need our resolutions or our approval in any form or fashion, then they're subject to compliance with existing county policies.
Okay. So this is a good way of covering us on things that we're involved in without being overly burdensome.
That's a good way of putting it, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's an elegant solution.
And the other thing I like about no professional service shall be automatically new. That somebody's gonna have an oversight in this case, so.
Not sure how that happened, but in the light of day, after the year we've had, we see that maybe not in our best interest.
I agree. Okay, I will accept your friendly amendment.
I support your acceptance.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed.
Yeah.
We're moving on to page 16, NFA -028-21, authorization to decline tax for closed property, Treasurer's Office.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby declines the right to purchase any tax foreclosed properties for public use.
Support.
Okay, the motion made and support. Any discussion?
Yep.
Questions? Discuss, whatever.
May I ask a question, Trudy?
Go ahead.
So what we're looking here is that we're not acting on the county's right, I guess you say, to whatever. There's nothing that we're interested in for the most part.
Right.
Does it have to do with the fact that there's nothing that is useful to the county at the present, or does it have to do with the whole embroiled court?
The new law.
Yeah,
The
we
new
don't want,
law states that you can't just take the properties now, you must buy them.
you must buy them.
So the county would have to purchase at minimum bid any of the properties they think they could use out of this booklet.
So how does that work? So essentially, the county would be just like any other bidder.
Correct.
You would have to actively bid against Joe Schmo from the public or
Yes.
Joel Schmo.
Yes, but, and you get first right. The state actually gets the very first. right, Then the county,
Oh, the state gets a first rate.
yes.
Ah,
But they have to bid as well?
Huh?
They have to provide a minimum bid as
I
well?
believe, I'm not sure on that, but the state has turned that back on our plate in the treasurer's office, saying to us, if you see something we'd like, let us know.
Well, why does the state get first choice? That's my question.
Why does the state? For DNR purposes, I guess, but yeah, and then the county, if
Very
the
convenient, right?
townships.
I think Park should get first.
So, and
Yeah.
now with this, now with the new law, the townships they have a right too, if the county declines all of them. But if I haven't had any claims for excess proceeds on any of the parcels, everybody just has to pay minimum bid. If I get a claim, then you have to pay fair market value.
So is it true that the townships aren't absolutely required to surrender the property to the county, that they could keep it within their, because then they would have to follow up with claiming the taxes and they wouldn't be reimbursed and made whole like we do, right? Does the township have the ability to hold that back?
No.
They don't, okay. So how does that look? How does the bid process look if the county, for example, saw an advantage that we wanted to have a piece of property for whatever purposes? How would that physically look?
The county would pay the treasurer's office or the tax fund the minimum bid that is posted in this booklet.
And who makes that minimum bid?
I do.
Okay, so the county decides what the minimum bid is and what's it based on? Is there a requirement?
The taxes that are due.
So simply the
All
taxes,
taxes that are due plus any fees that I have to
right?
navigate through the foreclosure process so that the county's made whole or the treasurer's office is made whole by the sale of this bid, all of the taxes that I have paid.
How does the fair market value factor come into play then?
That's the new law.
Yeah, how does it, how would you do that?
That's.
Because a minimum bid may not be equate to the fair market
Oh,
value
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, it might be more, it might be less. On a heavily blighted property, say like the schoolhouse in Minden City that I foreclosed on,
Uh-huh.
So the state
is
gets first choice. We
probably,
pay
the fair
taxes.
market value would
Is that
be
right?
way higher, which is probably 2 times
No matter what.
SEV than what that property's actually
have to-
worth.
So we have first dibs on it in a sense, but we have to pay at least the minimum bid,
Right.
which you've established as
Right.
such and such. But then we also have to bump it up to incorporate fair market value.
Only if there's a claim against the property. on
Does the
it.
claim have to be present before we actually bid?
The deadline was July 1st
Got
to
it,
submit a
okay.
claim.
Okay,
From April 1st, when I foreclosed until July 1, any prior owners that think they have a claim for excess proceeds, they had that time period to submit a claim. I had no claims
okay.
this year on.
That's the law
any of these.
now, and
Huh?
that's the law at present.
That's the law
Right, okay,
now.
Yeah, got it.
We've got claims submitted on last year's properties, but nothing on this year's.
Okay,
So that means I can offer all these properties at minimum bid.
got it,
So, because there were no.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next, no, we didn't, would you?
We got to vote on that, though.
Yeah, sorry, guys, trying to get over here real quick. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Moving on to our agenda today, I'm going to open it up for public comments. Any public comments today? Seeing none, there's no reason for closed session. Approval of closed session, minutes none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Weren't we gonna have discussion about a topic?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I asked for that. Why did I?
Oh,
forget?
sorry, I skipped right over it. Sorry,
I'll save you, don't worry.
let's back up.
Thank you, John.
Oh, yeah, there wasn't.
Yeah,
Sorry.
We
Sorry.
did, normally we write that down. Let's put that between number 12 or whatever.
Sure,
We
yeah.
didn't do that.
And I thought of that right after
Yeah,
the meeting started. I
yeah.
didn't fit it in there.
So I received a phone call from an individual, a constituent, and I know that you all received emails as well. It looks like Commissioner Block took it upon himself to reach out to the health director. Terrific. Can you give us a summary of what your thoughts are?
So I want to start this conversation off. This is very preliminary. I just read that email this morning. I just contacted Brian. I felt as the member of this body that is on the health board, that was my duty to do. He did offer me a response. I have yet to be able to read it in its entirety, but through my skim through of it, it seemed as though there's some contention about masking in schools. I don't really think that that's really the key issue here, though. I think what Brian's trying to suggest is that if there was an outbreak in a school district this fall, and there's no preventative measures whatsoever in that district, it's possible that the health director may have to go in and quarantine an entire elementary or an entire high school. So I think the point that he was attempting to make in the correspondence is that if there are preventative measures, if there is distancing and things like that going on, and there's a case that pops up in a district, we may only quarantine a portion of a class or one classroom instead of having to do, large swaths of the district. So I think that's a conversation that he's going to be having further with these districts to try to get them to buy into that a little bit. We've already had 2 districts in the county publicly state they're not going to require masks.
Yeah, that's already Peck and Sandusky.
Yeah.
No vaccine or no mask.
Right. So I think that it's best for us to be informed and have those good conversations. I think it's important that districts, being adamant against masks in schools myself, I would not advocate for children wearing masks in schools. I don't think schools are going to have to require masks. That's been left up to the districts independently by the state. But I do think that Director Wilkie has a valid point that it would be advantageous for those districts to still have some kind of a COVID preparedness plan and some measures in place. That way, one case positive in a district might, would not require a massive quarantining of a huge amount of people.
He points out the requirement still in place for public transportation regarding the students and that seems tied in with MIOSHA, the extension through October 16th, I think it is, that the governor signed on that 6-month extension that isn't lifted until October. I don't think they've pulled that
You're
back.
saying they have to wear a mask on the school bus?
Correct, that's,
I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're enforcing that.
well, that's what it talks about, and that's regarding, that's in line with MIOSHA's requirements, and it's has to do with the public transportation, yeah.
I'm all about freedom and letting those districts make those decisions on their own.
That's why I wanted to have this conversation. I had a good conversation with Kathy, and ultimately it comes down to those districts and the board that they have elected and how important it is to elect a board that represents your viewpoints and to hold them accountable. So really the ball is in their court and what they're going to do. Remember that the health director, for all his goodwill and intents, it is a recommendation at this point. But we know that when we decide not to take attorneys' recommendations or doctors' recommendations, there can be a consequence to our actions. And we have to realize that we take that upon ourselves, and the schools will do so accordingly. But I'm with you. I agree. I think it should be the the school board that makes that decision.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Block, and I've heard what you said, appreciate what you said. So what you interpreted, Brian, to say that the school districts will be in charge of what they want to do.
That's correct. That's the way
Based off what?
off the correspondence I had with him today.
Oh, no, the school district's based off what? From a state law or from a state?
What their
recommendation?
boards decide.
What their boards decide.
Okay.
So that was a very,
Nothing to do with the health department.
right. It was a very difficult position to be in on a board of education for all those great people that put their time and effort into their local school districts. To be on a school board is an extremely thankless job. They're there to make those decisions, and to have those decisions taken away from them last year put a lot of pressure on them from the community to make choices that they just didn't get to make. Well, now they're able to make those choices, and I think it's up to each district to make those what works for them. And freedom is competition. The districts do compete with each other to an extent. If one district chose to take some pretty aggressive measures, they may lose some students to another district that maybe not, or potentially vice versa, depending on what's going on in the world.
Yes.
So, but it's, again, allowing them to make their choices. And I have full confidence in them being able to make whatever decisions best for them in their local districts.
I think that's a very great idea. And moving forward. And I did receive, and I don't know if I shared it with the rest of the commissioners. I had a constituent in my township advocate that several people, illegal aliens, or I don't want to say illegal, I guess we can't say that anymore, but the people that cross the border are being shipped up here in the county and asked. She said she had heard that several of them were being moved up here in Sanilac County, but I checked with our emergency director, Todd Yeoman. He was unaware of it, but if that does happen, we've heard on the news, right, on every TV station, a lot of these people coming from Mexico and coming from other countries come across the border are highly infected with the COVID. So it's hard to believe what you hear anymore, right? So, but that could affect our county if that happens.
Well, at the heart of the matter seems to be our constituents imploring this Board of Commissioners to take action with the health department and its director and the recommendations that they give.
We have to stay vigilant with them. No,
I would say we do have to stay vigilant, but we also have a responsibility that individual is in that position to look out for the public welfare and the public safety of the general public, and he has to take into consideration the orders and directives that's been given down by the MDHHS director, the lawful orders and directives that currently we're still operating under an epidemic, and those orders could be ramped right back up again. But he also should be allegiant to the Sanilac County residents as well. And I think for the most part, he's done a good job of being as lenient as possible, but his level of concern is on the side of protective measures. And you just have to make do with folks that have the idea that protective measures are absolutely needed and important. And like, John, you illustrated it, that district that chooses not to enforce, distancing or mask wearing might lose people because parents are looking for it. I can't say which way Sand Lake County is split on one side or the other. It seems relatively even in terms of those who are on one side of the mask debate and the vaccine debate and on the other.
I've said that earlier, 6-8 months ago, and people disagree with me, but I think it is kind of split down the middle.
But he has an obligation to carry forth, even though it may upset 50% of the population, he has an obligation to use the best methods of understanding and data and also, as was referenced in this thing, federal requirements and state MIOSHA requirements to implement those as well. So right now, it looks like he's passing along information based on CDC guidelines.
Is that any
I'm
more
all set,
discussion?
thanks.
Yep, any more
Thanks, John.
discussion? We accomplished, I think, what you set out to do with your discussion. All right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close our meeting. Motion made and support. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All opposed,